Welcome to No Borders with Brian and Carrie. Today we are discussing the top 10 regrets people have in early retirement. We thought through a lot of these things, and I think we felt like we were pretty well, we knew what was going to be happening, but I can see how some of these things might catch some people off guard.
Yeah, there's one I still think of, not all the time, but I'm aware of it, and we'll get to it. But yeah, we did think through everything. You can't predict the future, but you can prepare yourself for some of these things. The number one worry that most everybody has is how much money do you have? Mm-hmm. Have you saved enough money? Makes sense, right? Yeah. Have you saved enough money for early retirement? That's the question we had. Now, we probably didn't. I know I probably didn't, but you know what? I did invest early on, and I made some correct decisions in my 20s and 30s to where I think I can hang on long enough to get to that retirement age. It's never too late.
Yeah, and the thing is when you retire early, the other concern some people have is, or the realization they have, is you've retired during some of your highest paying years. So if you would have held on just a few years longer, those are those years where maybe you were making considerably more, maybe your house is already paid off so you can put more money away. So it's a real concern. And I wouldn't even say concern, it's just a real thing. It's like taking that and really evaluating, should I go ahead and wait another couple of years while I'm making a lot more money? Might make sense.
Right, might make sense, because once that paycheck stops coming, that paycheck stopped coming. And that's when it hits you. That's when you realize, man, maybe I should have just hung on a couple more years. Don't have that regret.
Well, and that was our thing with doing what we are doing, that we knew our paychecks obviously were going to stop, and you'll know it's going to stop, but all of a sudden when it actually does stop and then it hits you that you're never going to see another paycheck again, it can be kind of a scary feeling, especially because right after we started traveling, the stock market crashed. We really didn't want to draw any money out of our accounts, so you're really faced with that, and that's one of kind of the reasons that we also then looked into doing YouTube.
Yeah, it's awfully difficult to convince your boss to continue to pay you when you're not working anymore. Yeah, it's very difficult. I tried it and it did not work. Now, we did decide to do this YouTube to try and generate some more money, and we kind of knew we were going to do this before we even left. But the reason why is because we thought through the process well ahead of time.
Well, and thank goodness, because as everybody knows, YouTube does not start paying you for about 2 years until you have put in a lot of free time. And then you start getting a paycheck. The number 2 regret is delayed retirement planning. I can completely 100% understand this. When you are in your, say, 30s, retirement feels so far off, or even in your 40s, it's like, it's still a long time off. But all of those years that you lose out on your interest compounding is so massive that you really need to start as early as you possibly can, especially if your plan is to retire early.
Yeah, if you can start at 18, 19, all the more better. 63% of retirees wish they had started their planning a lot sooner. And you know what? I got kids that are in their early 30s, mid 30s now. One of them that's even younger than that. It's hard to convince that youngest one especially to start putting that money into a savings that will have compound interest. Dad, I don't have any money to put away. Do you have 10 bucks? Do you have $12? $15, whatever it is, get started on it.
Well, yeah, and for the younger ones, you start to use those compound interest calculators. I love those calculators. You can sit down and take what they are going to be putting in, or if you would say you're in your 30s and you're looking at doing this, just start to do those calculations, and you will see just how much your money grows by putting way less away younger. It saves you from having to come up with a lot of money when you're older.
Ignoring the impact of inflation. Now, we just did a video about inflation and how it's impacted us and how it can continue to impact us moving down this travel road we're on, because it's not just the United States or Canada, it's worldwide. It's a real thing. So how does it impact us? And did we think that through?
Yeah, I know we thought it through a bit, but inflation has dramatically gone up, and I think it's really caught not everybody off guard. It's just kind of a slap in the face, and we're hoping that eventually we'll see things go down. I don't think that we probably will. And so that is something that we've really had to face with what our budget was in the beginning, that we were like, oh, we can absolutely go travel on this amount. It's only been 3 years since we've been on the road, and if we were to go back now and have to live off the budget that we set for ourselves, that would be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, I don't think we could do it.
No, we would not be going to the areas we are going now. We would be in accommodations we wouldn't be happy in, and I can pretty much guarantee you we'd probably be done traveling and back at jobs, just because it wouldn't be the life that we were looking for.
Right. Yeah. You probably would have broken up with me by now. Probably is what
No.
No? I don't think. I hope not. I hope it takes more than that.
It takes more than that, yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's something that we have thought about a lot more recently than we did 3 years ago. That's for certain.
Well, I think everybody is right now. It's just front and center. So if you are planning to retire, and especially if you want to have traveling in that mix, you really have to be counting on inflation and make sure that you are putting enough away that you're going to be able to keep up with that inflation.
Yeah. Now, again, I want to emphasize that we're just keeping it real here. We don't want to sugarcoat or have these rose-colored glasses on that says everything is perfect. You should do this. You should do what we're doing. Get out there and travel. You should get out and travel, but should you retire early? We're just painting the picture here, just so we all understand. We want everybody to be on the same page. That's all we're doing.
It's harder to go back than it is to
it's harder
just
to
keep
go
going.
Back.
The fourth regret is underestimating healthcare costs. This is a really tough one, because when we, for instance, with what we are doing, we started traveling, we could look at what our insurance would be at that time. But you have that time between when we started, which is at 50 years old, to the time that we will need Medicare at 65. And it's really hard to figure out what you're going to have to be paying for insurance, because it goes up every single year as we get older. It continues to go up. And, you can kind of get an estimate, but once again, everything's just going up. So you have to really estimate really high on this one.
Early in the video, when we started, I said there's one in particular that I do think about more often than all the others, and it's this one. It's the health insurance. Right now, it's manageable. I can afford it. Things are good. I'm healthy. I'm 54. What happens when I'm 55, 56, 59, 62? Those things are going to, God willing, happen. How much I'm going to be paying there, it's hard to tell. Who knows?
It is really hard to tell, and unfortunately, this is just one of those areas. Do your math the best that you can, do your calculations best that you can, but you are going to have to come up with private medical insurance to cover you during that time. Very few people have insurance that follows them from their employer. Some do, I know, depending what kind of career that you were in, but majority of people will have to have a private plan, and those are, they're not hard to come by, they're just costly to come by.
They're just expensive. Yeah.
The fifth one is do not skip out on having long-term care insurance. And it is going to hit you in the pocketbook when the time comes that you need it. But if you don't have it and you retire early and you all of a sudden need to have that, it is going to eat up any savings that you have. So you want to make sure that you have that coverage. Yeah,
the average price for a healthcare private room in a nursing home is $116,000 a year. Now, that's going to eat up almost everybody that's at least watching this video. You'd sure think so. It's a budget travel video.
Yeah.
That's going to eat up your savings very quickly.
Right. Now, unfortunately, these plans, I shouldn't say unfortunately, you can get them when you're younger, but the best time to get them is what they say is from 65 or 60 to 65 is the best time to start that policy. So that's well before you're going to be getting your Social Security check coming in and stuff. So you kind of want to plan ahead that if you're going to retire early, you're going to need the money for that plan as well that you're paying for.
Now, there is a generation of us that feel like you have to own your home. You have to own multiple homes. Real estate's where it's at. That's your investment. Well, one of the biggest drawbacks, regrets, I should say, that retirees have is they own multiple homes.
Yeah, and sometimes those multiple homes, it may not even be an investment. It may be, well, it's always an investment, right? But one of them might just be a vacation home. You might have a vacation home, say, in Palm Springs, and then you also have your vacation home or your regular home that you live in. One of the regrets that people very much realize is the upkeep, the unexpected costs, the taxes, the insurance, everything that goes into it becomes very time consuming, becomes very stressful as you are older.
Yeah, the headache.
And it's a major headache. When you are on a fixed income, having those multiple homes may not be the most ideal place to have your money.
Right, and people are going to say, well, you can rent them out and you can make money on those rentals. You can make money on those rentals. We know of people that have rentals and they're not making money.
Yeah, and you can, but it's also just evaluating. It's more of a headache,
It's more of a headache than
And I
anything,
think that sometimes having that money that maybe you've had this home for quite a while, you can sell it, you make quite the profit, get that money invested, have it just returning to you and building without the stress that comes with that. I think when you get older, we both owned plenty of homes in our time. It comes with a lot of stress, and that is one thing both of us are like, we just don't really have any desire to take that on anymore.
People think we're crazy.
Yeah.
You're just going to rent,
Yeah.
give your money away. Yep. Because I'd rather give it to a landlord for a price that I know what it's going to be than replace the hot water tank or the roof or the siding or
Right.
anything else that comes along with owning a home. I just don't want to do it.
Often one comment that we will get when we talk about, because it's a hot topic, people are like, you don't own a home or you don't want to own a home. The thing is that the idea people have is that you pay off your home and then in retirement you now have this free and clear home. That is absolutely, if that's the way you want to look at it, great. The way we look at it is that home has taxes, it has insurance, that never goes away. Those things continue to just go up and are decided for you how much that you're going to pay each year. And then like Brian mentioned, all the unexpecteds that come with it. We really like the idea, especially as budgeted people, I don't care if we're traveling or home, where we can go and be like, that is the rent we will pay. We know exactly what goes out. If anything goes wrong, we just let them know and they can fix it. And if they decide to raise the rent on us, we can go ahead and choose to move if we want to.
We can move if we want to. Now, are you going to downgrade to somewhere you have to move to? Maybe, but at least we know what it's going to be.
We have that option.
We have that option.
The seventh regret some people have is claiming their Social Security too early. A lot of us are like, oh, I'm just going to start claiming at 62. And to be honest with you, we may very well do that. But there are calculations that you want to make sure that you have taken into play to make sure that that is the right choice. Because as soon as you start drawing, then you lose out on that extra monthly amount that you could have gotten by waiting a little bit longer for the rest of the time that you are alive.
Yeah, it's a debate. It goes back, it depends on who you talk to, who you listen to, on when you should or when you shouldn't start taking your Social Security. But it is a regret that people have by taking it too early. They wish they had waited. So do your own calculations and figure out what's best for you. Because if you listen to, well, don't listen to us, first of all.
No.
But if you listen to the experts, you might get two different ideas on what you should do.
Well, and part of it is that say you did your calculations of, oh, I can live on this amount, and say you very much underestimated what your living costs are going to be, and then you drew your Social Security. You've quit your job, you've drawn your Social Security, and now you're kind of locked into that amount. That I can see as being in those situations a regret. If you've kind of done as best calculations as you can. And the calculator that we're talking about is really great because it will show you, like if you draw at 62 compared to if you started at 65, how many years it will take to make up that difference, and there's all these differences they go into is like what's the typical life expectancy in your family and all of that to make sure and see how it plays out. They're fun calculators to use to just kind of get an idea of what's going to work best for you.
Number 8. Now I've got a buddy that owns his own company. And he could sell it. He could be done with it all if he wanted to. When I asked him about this last summer, he said, well, if I do that, what am I going to do? I don't have that many hobbies. I would get bored. My work is my hobby. I enjoy doing it. So guess what? He's probably going to work until he's 70 years old, and that's fine. That's up to him. But boredom and that whole, who am I?
Right.
Who am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? You can lose that if you decide to retire early.
And I think that this one for us is such a great example, because when I have had friends at home that are talking of retiring pretty soon here, and we'll talk about it a little bit, and me personally, if we were just at home and we weren't going to be hitting the road and traveling like we are and busy all the time, I wouldn't have retired at home yet. I'd be bored out of my mind. I wouldn't know what to do with myself, So I think that I do understand this part of it. I absolutely understand that, for me, it's not a purpose necessarily. It's not feeling like, oh, my job has identified me or anything like that. But something to do would have been very important.
Yeah, I think that even goes for us now as we travel.
Yeah.
We're not out sightseeing every day. We're not out doing all these cool activities because we're in these exotic places. No, not at all. A lot of days we work on YouTube. Apparently here in Mexico, we really need to be working on our Spanish, because everybody in the United States apparently that watches our videos, they know Spanish. And if we mispronounce a word, we hear about it. We didn't take Spanish in high school.
Everybody took Spanish 101 and we did not. And they're enjoying the fact that they get to use that right now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should be doing with any free time, is taking Spanish 101.
Taking Spanish classes, yeah.
These languages are not easy to learn as you get older, I'll tell you that. Now, the boredom part of it, so if you do have that regret, some people find themselves going and finding like a part-time job, or they volunteer, so there's kind of ways to rectify this one, but maybe just make sure that you're thinking through, what are you going to do with your days? It sounds really good to not have a schedule and to say to yourself, I don't have to wake up to an alarm clock the next morning. What are you going to do all day? It gets hard to fill those days.
Something to think about.
Now, the ninth concern is missing out on that opportunity for career growth. I can relate with this one because if you step away from a job and you maybe were wanting to continue to move up in that job that you were in, soon as you step away, you've kind of lost that ability to do that. You have to start again, not start at the bottom, but you maybe had your foot in the door in some of these places. So, to me, that is a real thing. Make sure you're ready. Make sure that before you say, adios, I'm done, that you're ready to be out at that career level.
Adios. See, she's been working on her Spanish.
Yeah.
Very good, Carrie. Very good.
Muy
Yeah,
bien.
muy bien. Yeah, that is something that, for me, it was more the camaraderie with the fellows at work. My bosses I loved. The guys I worked with were great. So that is something that I had to weigh in. Not just my friends, my work friends, my work relationships were important to me. I very much enjoyed them, and it's something that I chose to give up. And I had no regrets, but it's something you have to think about.
It is, I had the same of that. My work was, it was kind of, you had your kind of like work family, right? You know, these are people that you spent more time than I spent with you during the weekdays, really. And so, that was kind of an adjustment as well, to not have that, not be part of that group, be part of the conversations and everything that went on with it. But, we got over it pretty quickly.
Yeah, it didn't take very long. Let's be honest, they're just work friends. Now the last one, number 10.
The best one.
The best one. And this is interesting to me because we did our research on this, and these all came up on people that were asked, what's your biggest regret in retirement? And one of them was, and I'm not sure what order it was in. I don't know if it was 10th or if it was 5th.
Yeah.
For me, it would have been
We put it
first.
at the end because it just made the most sense.
It made the most sense to put it at the end. So no more talking about it. It was not retiring early enough. So we've talked about all these other things. Well, not retiring early enough is one of the main things that people regret.
Yeah, I think that you take away, so like we said, that we had done a lot of research before doing what we were doing. We felt we prepped, planned. None of these things really caught us off guard. We've been prepared for everything. There's not been a shock effect. And I think for those people that are fully prepared financially and they see how they love this lifestyle of just being retired early or traveling full time, then you do think like, why didn't I do this earlier? I could have done this 2 years prior. I could have, so yeah, I can see why that would be a regret. It's not just starting earlier.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too is you might ask somebody that's 65 years old and suddenly they're in bad health. You know, they're only 65 years old. They're not that old, but they can't travel now, or they can't golf, or they can't go out on the river and fish. They can't do these things now because of a health element. Well, if they would have retired earlier like they could have, they would have been able to enjoy those years.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest eye-opener for us when we were looking at doing what we were doing. If you watch us, you know that our plan started with like an 8-year plan, a 7-year plan, a 5-year plan, and just kept going down. As we started hearing about people that were similar age to us, or just stories from other people that knew somebody similar age, that had decided to wait to full retirement. Oh, I'm going to travel when I retire. I'm going to do this when I retire. And you saw them, die suddenly, or have some ailment, injury that they were never going to recover to the point they'd ever be able to travel like we do. It's not easy, And so that right there was an eye-opener of that. Do it when you can, if you feasibly, affordably can do it.
Yeah, don't just go do it, because that'd be irresponsible. Responsibly, think about retiring early.
All right, well, we hope that you found this interesting. If you would like to find us on other social networks, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Brian and Carrie, and you can find us on our website at briancarrietravels.com, where we have some free travel resources for you.
Those are fun, free and fun. Check them out. Thanks for watching our video. Thumbs up, subscribe if you want to. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.